Welcome back, everybody. We are in the second day of 5.5, still talking about completing the square. So we want to take a look at a story problem here, and then I'm going to show you a couple other things that we're going to talk about in this section as well. You want to plant a rectangular garden along part of a 40-foot side of your house to keep out animals. You wish to enclose the garden with wire mesh along its 3 open sides. You'll also cover the garden with mulch. If you have 50 feet of mesh and enough mulch to cover 100 square feet, what should the garden's dimensions be? So I like to start these with drawing a little bit of a picture here. It doesn't have to be great. As you guys know, I'm not much of an artist. So I have my rectangular garden here. I can cheat because I have my smart board here. Obviously, if I was drawing this out, it would not be as good. So I'm going to put the house back here. So I'm just going to use that to represent my wall. This is the house. So here's my garden. And I have 50 feet of mesh to enclose this. So I'm going to call this side length X here. I don't know how wide it is. I don't know how wide it needs to be, but I'm going to call that X. Which means that this side over here has to be X as well. We got a rectangle, so those two sides have to be the same. And if I want to figure out what this side here is, that bottom side, well, I'm going to use whatever's left. To figure out how much is left is I'm going to take 50, the amount that I start with, and I have to subtract the sides that I've already used. Well, I've used X and X, which is going to give me 2X. Now, the other piece of information that I have used, or that I haven't used, is I am going to use, where did it go? 100 square feet of mulch. There we go. Found it. So 100 square feet. Square feet should give you some sort of indication that you were working with area. Area of a rectangle. Hopefully you guys know that that is length times width. And my area, they tell me I have 100 square feet that I can use, and that has to be equal to length, which I'm going to call X, times my width, which is going to be 50 minus 2X. And now, what I can do is distribute my X out, and I'm going to rewrite this so it's a little, I'm going to rearrange it a little bit as I distribute, just so it's in standard form a little bit better for us. So I'm going to get 100 is equal to negative 2x squared plus 50x. So all I did was I flipped the 2x and the 50 around so that I have this standard, a little bit closer to standard form for us. And now we're just going to keep using our completing the square to figure this out for us. In order to do that, we like to have an A value of 1. So to do that, divide everything by -2, which is going to leave us with -50 plus some number, because I know I'm going to add that C value in, is equal to x squared minus 25x plus whatever that C value is going to be. And in this case, it might be a little easier. As much as you guys know, I dislike decimals. Might be a little easier if we use some. So to get our C, we're going to take negative b. Nope, not negative b. Just b over 2. B over 2 squared. In this case, we're going to take negative 25 over 2 squared. So you're going to square 12 and a half to get 156.25. So I'm going to add 156.25 here and 156.25 there. I work out my problem. So I subtract, I take negative 50 plus 156 and a quarter. So that's going to give me 106.25 is equal to, and I'm going to factor this right away, is going to be x. I check my sign here, minus, since I have a negative in front of my 25 there, and half of 25 is going to be 12.5 squared. Now we're in our square root stage. Square root both of those. Got to put a plus or minus in front of the 106.25. So we end up with, and I'm going to flip this around just because it's more comfortable for us. We're going to get x minus 12 and a half is equal to the square root of 106.25. This is going to be plus or minus 10.3. And now to solve for x, we add our 12.5 to both sides. We end up with x is equal to 12.5 plus or minus 10.3. Now, since I've got numbers that I can work with, I'm going to take 12.5 plus 10.3. I'm going to take 12.5 minus 10.3. When I take 12.5 plus 10.3, I'm going to get 22.8. And when I subtract 10.3, I'm going to get 2.2. Now, we need to figure out which one of these we're going to use here. We've got 22.8 and 2.2. So we got to figure out what we can do. So let's take a look at our side here. 50 minus 2x. So let's pick one of these here. And if I take, or let's pick both of them here. 50 minus 2 times 22.8 and 50 minus 2 times 2.2. Okay, so I'm going to get 50 minus 45.6, and I'm going to get 50 minus 4.4. This side, 50 minus 45.6 is going to give me 4.4 feet, and 50 minus 4.4 is going to leave me with 45.6. The problem here is that I have 45.6. Okay? Within the context of that problem, I don't have enough to have a side length of 45.6. So that means I'm going to pick my 4.4 for that side length. And since I have a side length of 4.4, that means my other side is going to be 22.8. So the dimensions on my garden are going to be 22.8 by 4.4. And that's what we were looking for. So, and the reason that I can't have this 45.6 be a side length is I wouldn't have a rectangle because my yard, or the house that I'm going to use, is only 40 feet. So I would have extra hanging out over here. So I couldn't do that. I want to use just the side of my house. I don't want to put that extra side on there over here. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about writing in vertex form. And then, hopefully, after all of our practice with that in section 1, you should be able to identify the vertex. Vertex form, remember, is y is equal to a times x minus h plus k. So we're going to start exactly the way we did when we were completing the square. Subtract 11 from both sides. I'm going to get y minus 11 is equal to x squared minus 8x. Now remember, I have to add something to both sides so I can get that perfect square trinomial. And I'm going to take negative 8 over 2 squared. Negative 8 divided by 2 is going to be 4, which is going to leave me with 16 that I'm going to add to both sides. So this is going to simplify down to y plus 5. Negative 11 plus 16 leaves me with 5. Is going to be equal to x squared minus 4. Again, check that sign there, make sure they match, and that needs to be squared. Now, we're really close to being in that vertex form, but I have y by itself in the general equation up here. All we do, subtract 5, subtract 5. The 5 cannot be subtracted inside the parentheses. There's more going on because I have this squared here. So I have y is equal to x. That shouldn't be x squared. It should just be an x minus 4 squared minus 5. And here's your vertex form. And to find our vertex, I look at the point inside the parentheses. I see a negative 4, so that is going to be a positive 4. And outside, I see a negative 5, so it's going to stay a negative 5. So our vertex is going to be at 4, negative 5. And the last thing we want to talk about today, we're given an equation where S is in pounds per acre of sugar produced from sugar beets that can be modeled by the function here. They give you that equation where N is the amount in pounds per acre, and we want to figure out how much fertilizer you should use and what is the maximum amount of sugar. So maximum and minimums, if you think about our graphs, the highest or the lowest point of that graph on that parabola is going to be at the vertex. So one way you could solve this is to put this in vertex form. That would be perfectly reasonable to do. Otherwise, what I would do, I would say that x is equal to negative b all over 2a, where this is going to be my a, b, and c. And n's are going to be x's. S is going to be my y. So you can swap those out. They just gave them a little more meaning. So you're going to take negative 7.855 divided by 2 times negative 0.0655. And that is going to give you roughly 60 when you plug that in. And to find the other part of our vertex, we're going to get that S is equal to negative 0.0655 times 60 plus 7.855 times 60 plus 5562. Plug that into your calculator. You are going to get 5,798. So that means your vertex is at 65,798, meaning, remember that 60 was going to be your N, and the 5,798 is going to be your S. So how much fertilizer should you use? That's going to be the N. So in this case, it's going to be our 60. And the maximum amount you can produce, that's the Y value, is 5,798. All right. Let me know if you guys have questions. We'll get some practice with this in class.